Shadow the new Praetorian. The opinions expressed here today are the sole intellectual property of the Laughing Ogre and are no way meant to represent the opinions of any sane human being. So now, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax as we delve into the deep, dark inner workings of the media and the Bavarian Illuminati. And now, here is the Laughing Ogre. Hello, YouTube. It's good to see you again. Well, at least for you to be seeing a picture that I have up there of Barack Obama looking like he just smelled some weed. Anyway, welcome back to the Laughing Ogre's channel. This whole talk today, this rant today, if you will, the stream of conscious thought today, is brought to you by a specific person. Mr. Hurst, Judd Hurst. He made a very poignant question on a video that I've had up for about 3 weeks on the Chicago torture. And Mr. Hurst asks, why does everybody get so mad about what the news actors say on TV? Well, he says anchor, but I'm trying to help him out here. What the news anchor says on TV. They are effing paid to say this shit, man. It's all the show. Any news station you watch, they have an agenda sit down from the tippy top. And they read off the teleprompters, and they're told what not to say and what areas not to ever let anybody get into. That's why they cut news feeds all the time. And people start saying truth. You know, it's over. They shut it down, he's saying. It's all the show. It's just a show. And everybody gets all worked up and fired up. I'm a black man. I haven't met one black person that thought this shit was cool in any way, shape, or form. That's some sick, fucked up shit, man. And that is a quote from Mr. Judd Hurst. Thank you so much, my black brother. And I hope that everyone out there knows that I am in no way making a case with any of my videos that black folks, like Mr. Logan, Brian Anthony Logan, I might have said that backwards. Mr. Logan, I'm some black guy. T, you know. I can go on and on. Coffee, ba-doom, ba-da-doom, ba-doom, coffee, ba-da-doom, ba-da-doom, ba-doom, coffee with Tim Black. You know, Tommy Sotomayor. Obviously, Mr. Judd Hurst. I don't mean you folks. You are Americans. Mr. Hurst, he may refer to himself as African American sometimes because it's prevalent, but in his response to me, he didn't say anything about African American. He says, I'm a black man. I haven't met one black man. You know, it does make me think of Morgan Freeman. And when Morgan Freeman was asked by Morley Schaefer about Black History Month, he's like, I don't know Black History Month. He said, what about you? Want White History Month? And Morley kind of stammered and he said, yeah, well, I'm Jewish. And he said, well, what do you want, Jewish History Month? And Morley looked shocked and he was like, no. And then Mr. Freeman, with some of the wisest words I've ever heard from a man, said, well, I'll tell you what then. How about this? You stop calling me a black man and I'll stop calling you a white man. How about that? We'll just call each other men. Stop calling me, he didn't say this, I'm putting this in his mouth, but this is what he's saying. Stop calling me African American. Stop having Black History Month. How about American History Month? If you took the black out of this history, and I'm not saying slaves built the country. They didn't. They did a lot of hard work on plantations. They did a lot of hard daggone work that they didn't get effing paid for. But they didn't build this country. That is a false narrative. But I tell you what, you take them out of the equation, you have basically no crops because George Washington Carver, he came to these morons when the boll weevil was coming around and said, listen, peanuts. He invented peanut butter. He invented 1,000 ways to use the peanut oil. The man was a genius. And listen, I only mentioned the one, but it's because it's not black history, American history. You know, I could go on and on about who brung the slaves here, about Irish folks. I'm married to an Irish girl. That signs over Irish need not apply. The engineered famine that caused so many of them to die, and they were indentured servants. There was 7 years they were indentured servants. There was a reason. Very few people made it past year 7 alive. Those that did, they just paid for their passage here. They were left at that point to figure out. Usually they stayed, is what I'm trying to say. And yes, if you knew you owned someone and had them for life, if you were smart, and there were plenty of ignorant idiots that paid a fortune for a human being, which is disgusting to say. But then on top of that, they went ahead and mistreated this, to me, priceless human life. Should never be mistreated anyway. But then to mistreat them, well, in most cases, a slave, almost 99.9% of them were black, but they were treated. Oh man, I might as well say it. They were treated as a horse or a cow, and that's about it. I'm not saying that they were treated with any dignity or treated as human beings, but they were fed and they were sheltered. That said, I'm off on a ramble with this because we are human beings, like Mr. Hurst has said here. Don't call Mr. Hurst an African. Mr. Hurst is an American. I believe in my heart, and please, Judd, if you disagree, Mr. Hurst, you put it right in my comments here and set me straight. But I believe in his heart of hearts, in his inner self, where his true inner feelings lie. And when some ignorant cracker is being an ignorant cracker and not just showing white privilege, just because I don't believe that exists either, but just being an ignorant cracker, you know, that inner self that says, you know, honky, I crush you. You know, that inner self. I believe that he's slightly offended there, in that inside of him, when he's called an African American, because this is an American. My black brothers and sisters, my Latino brothers and sisters, my fellow Jews, my second generation Polish American friends, my first generation immigrant friends of all stripes, nations, colors, and creeds. Come into the family. Let's not judge one another as the immortal. Martin Luther King said, I would much rather be judged on the content of my character than on the color of my skin. And the picture of Mr. Hurst, with all due respect, the lighting that you have, and it's a thumbnail. If I would look at him, I just see a man there. It is. You'd have to see the picture that I'm looking at right now. He told me he was a black man. Then I looked up at the picture and got a little bit of I glimmed at it. I squinted the old eyeballs, and I seen, oh yeah, he is a black man. What difference does it make? I believe he feels the same way. I don't want to make a big deal about any kind of so-and-so on so-and-so violence, because now I want to get into the meat of this. And this is going to be one for the long haul. So, sit back, buckle up, and join Mr. Hurst and I as we look into the real root cause of this problem. Rabble-rousers and puny wannabe kings and dictators have always fomented racial division, at least as far back as my historical knowledge goes. If not racial, they would foment religious anxiety among the masses to play off of. You have Adolf Hitler, for me, of course, most memorable in the past here. You could go to Mao, you could go to Pol Pot. Because when I say Adolf Hitler, that's because that's my memory. If you went to Cambodia, if you went to Vietnam even, those folks around there remember the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot. Why do people do this? What's the agenda today? Well, I believe they're all actors too. Look into Project Mockingbird. Find out about the CIA. Anderson Cooper, he has dodged a gentleman trying to get him to go on record and make a statement about that forever. That dude, he works for them. He works for they. He's an actor. He's a reader. He's a hypocrite. That is the Greek word for actor. Hypocrite. He's fake. He brings racial division. He pretends this pathos of caring, this pathos of outrage and vitriol against this system of which he is a fundamental and inseparable part. Mr. Hurst, I'm going to take a little break right now, and you won't even know it. I'm going to come back in because I'm going to get a cold beer, and we're going to take a look at the Bavarian Illuminati. We're going to see who owns these corporations and why do they want us to hate each other? What could be their agenda? Adam Weishaupt was born February 6, 1748, in Ingolstadt, Germany. He died November 18th, 1830, in Gotha, Germany. I'm going to give you a couple of his quotes here. G is for grace. The flaming star is the torch of reason. Those who possess this knowledge are indeed Illuminati. Quote number 2. When man lives under government, he is fallen. His worth is gone, and his nature tarnished. Now, the reason I started with these two quotes was to show that, you know, even a stopped clock is right twice a day, as my dear old grandfather would say. And this person, Mr. Weishaupt, he made some good points, had some good quotes. They threw him out of Germany because when he started the Illuminati, it looked to them like they were trying to overthrow the government. I'm just going to give you information from the top of my head, and please give this a look into. Adam Weishaupt not only was into being free, but he was a do as thou wilt type of fellow. And most people may not even know what I mean when I say that, but I'm referring to the phonemic magic practitioner Aleister Crowley when I say that. And he wrote the Book of the Law, and he said the whole of the law, he said, do as thou wilt, that shall be the whole of the law. And Adam Weishaupt, he was pretty slick with this Illuminati. The Illuminati, they are there to bring forth the illuminated ones. Am I going to get crazy on this? Yes. Am I going to use this to say, okay, this must mean that I'm correct and that there is a God? No. I believe there's a God fully. You don't have to believe it. These people, the people in control, they believe there's a God. The Masons call him Amun Baal. Look it up. Amun Baal. And it's like Amen Baal. And it's a spider with a man's torso and head, and a bearded man with a crown is the torso and the head of a bearded man with a crown. And it's weird and creepy. But they all, including Adam Weishaupt, worship the Illuminati, the illuminated one. The one that is called Lucifer, where we get the word luminescence and illuminate, and where Adam Weishaupt got the word Illuminati. What is the agenda? For me, it's hard to say. I know that the powers that be do not want us to get along with each other. Adam Weishaupt started this thing. You can go forward to the only Confederate general to have a statue still in Washington, D.C. And when you think about that, he wrote Morals and Dogmas. And when you think about that, a Confederate general that is still in the capital of Washington, D.C., that would be like having a statue of Hitler, wouldn't it? Or a statue of Emperor Hirohito? Wouldn't that be the same thing? A statue of somebody that we fought to keep our freedom or to protect someone else? Because in essence, when we had the Civil War, let's face it, it was the Union against the South, against the Confederate States. They declared themselves a different country. And of course, this Confederate general that I'm referring to is Albert Pike. He was born August 15th, 1809 in Boston, Massachusetts, and died April 2nd, 1891 in Washington, D.C. He's buried in Oak Hill Cemetery in Washington, D.C. You got to ask yourself why his statue is there. He had a big part in the Skull and Bones boys love him. I mean, this guy he's a Mason, and he wrote the book on Masons. He is one of the people that does not want us to get along, black folks, Hispanic folks, all folks. And why is that, folks? Because in the end, they work for Lucifer. These people, Marina Blavatsky, Manly P. Hall, Albert Pike, Adam Weishaupt, all of these folks, they work for a very, very terrible, terrible, terrible entity. They want division. They want to be able to come and say, we are the saviors of you. And guess what? Lucifer is an angel of light, or can transform himself into such. If that's the case, and that's what we're battling against, well, we're in trouble. If that's not the case, if I'm crazy and that's not even it, well, then we're battling against this power that believes that they are representing an angel that was thrown out of heaven. Ask yourself, atheists, is that cool? Is that okay? Because I think it's universal. I believe in my soul it's universal. You can't be on board with Manly P. Hall and be normal. You can't be on board with Aleister Crowley and be normal. I even believe that, I don't know about Manly P. Hall, but when I say Aleister Crowley or Albert Pike, I'm going to bet the Styx Hexenhammer 666 would say the same thing. I'm betting that he would say, no, you can't be on board with these people. And I'm going to guarantee you that not only Mr. Hammer, but many others would be on board with the fact that you can't burn a child in effigy, as they do in the Bohemian Grove, and stand around it and, "Oh, great owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, and you would burn me yet again this night? Fools! How would you burn me with flames from regions where I reign?" I mean, that's from memory, but that is some creepy stuff. One of the reasons I can't believe that it appears to me that Alex Jones has sold out. Not that he's selling out, that he's sold out. And to think that he did that and now is, lockstep with the right. Listen, I'm not right, I'm not left, I'm not center. I'm anarcho-capitalist. I'll try to say that in every broadcast. And we need people to, there has to be somebody to make the laws. No. The community will make the laws. Anarcho-capitalist does not mean that I am for, they've done the same thing with the word anarchy as they have with many other things. They've news-speaked it to the point to where it's a dirty word. And I hate communism, but the same goes for communism. The idiots have news-speaked it to the point to where the word communism, as in, there's if you've never heard of a kibbutz, it's a Jewish thing. It's, Jews come together and it's very communal, and everybody throws their money in, and they elect in the kibbutz, they elect someone to be the head, and they decide what food to buy and where to spend the money, and they make all the decisions. They're the ones that they have the final say. So communism can be good. That's very communistic. But the kibbutz, if you say I'm in a communist kibbutz, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, ooh, communism. Well, yeah, look what they've done to it. Look what they've done to the name. Marx and Stalin and Mao, and oh my goodness. I mean, it's just unreal. I was Che Guevara, and doggone, he's roasting in hell right alongside Fidel Castro, huh? If you haven't seen it, check out Steven Crowder's Fidel in Hell bit. It's so funny, man. It'll make you die. So let me get back on topic here somewhat, because I'm off a little bit. This is the point. I'm going to do this in parts, and the next part, it's going to be very regimented. This is a rant, as I've already mentioned, brought to you specifically by Judd Hurst. Mr. Hurst, you touched me today. If you've made it this far, you've touched my heart. I want to reach out. I want to shake your hand. I want to look you square in the eyes like a man and say, let's have a beer, brother. It's on me today. And I would love to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, man, and have some sports playing in the background while we have some of them big old giant Stellas. You just get that Stella Artois, and it's in a huge, man. It's like they bring it out to you in a trough. And you look like you can handle your beer like I can. We could have a couple cold beers, listen to the sports in the background, and we could discuss these things in depth. You really sparked me, because it's easy for me, for a white Jew in America. It's easy for Mr. Logan that I mentioned before, or some other, a black man living in America that realizes they are a man or woman living in America. They're not, the black or the white or the Hispanic. That's secondary. The primary thing that we all are is Americans. Join Judd Hurst and myself. Join our hands with yours. Let's take a deep look. I hope that I've whetted your appetite. I've thrown out some names. Talked a little bit about how the Skull and Bones just really revere Albert Pike. Listen, you know, G.W. Bush was running against Kerry. They're both bonesmen. They lay in a casket and masturbate while they recite all of their dirty secrets. Anything sexual they've ever thought about, they're supposed to recite while they masturbate to completion, while the entire group of bonesmen look down on them. And that's weird. Why do they do that? No teaser here. The reason they do all this stuff, the Pizzagate, the Cameron with the sex with a pig head, they got the junk on you, man. Once they bring, you know, and I can imagine, you know, Judd is like, what this cracker lost his motherfucking mind talking about fucking pigs. It ain't me, Judd. I mean, it's these maniacs that pay these actors that you spoke of to get up there and say this crap. And of course, you know, 3 black kids or 4, whatever it was, shaved the head of some retarded white kid. Of course they got to put it up there, you know. But then other stuff that is real, like black folk killing black folk, like the doggone harvesting wheat out of a field, just like a mower's side going through new grass. Nah, don't cover that. You know, come on, man. Go listen to Tree of Logic. She'll tell you some straight up what it is. Black is the ace of spades and more beautiful than the darkest starry night you've ever seen. That woman is so, and she could be ugly as a mud fence, buck tooth, flat chested, and have a big old booty that looked like cottage cheese. And I'd say the same thing, because to me, her opinions, she got Logan on there. I know I keep saying it, but I'm so proud of you, girl. If you even condescend to listen to my little show, which you mentioned my accent, so you must have listened to at least one. I'm flattered by that. And not only one day do I hope to achieve your success, but more than that even, I hope to achieve what you have brought forth here and what the hard bastard has brought forth here. And listen, this doesn't really concern the Britisher or some of my other, like, British humanist on Twitter, if you can check him out. It doesn't really concern my Count Dankula, my British friends, because they're dealing with their own problems. Race really isn't one of them. It's in one of my, I asked the Britisher about it. I was like, what happens in England if you call a black Englishman African English? I actually did that once in my life in ministerial school. There was an Englishman, I won't mention his name, but he was there. He was black and beautiful. He had a very beautiful accent. I mean, he was more well-spoken than any of the white Englishmen that were there, and that's a fact. And he just, one day I said, so, you know, as an African American, and I don't even remember my point to this day, because as soon as that was out of my mouth, he was like, he reverted to the Cockney in him came out, and he was like, "What you talking about, mate?" And he was on me like stink on Dookie, man. He was up one side, down the other, you know, informing me that his father was an Englishman, and his father's father was an Englishman, and his father's father's father was an Englishman, and that I could kiss both sides of his black English ass if I ever wanted to call him an African American, because he ain't neither African nor American. Or if I wanted to call him an African English, I'm pretty sure that if I did it again after his speech, he would have punched me in the mouth. Excellent drummer this gentleman was. I play the drums, and just a great guy. Anyway, look, this is getting a little long, so I'm going to wrap it up right here. I'm going to put a bow on it. I'm going to say, listen, don't judge someone by the color of their skin. Judge it by the content of their character. If I was some kind of, oh man, white supremacist sounds so funky coming out of my mouth. I'm Jewish. I don't think they'd take me. I think Nazi and white supremacist is off my bucket list because they won't have me. You know, I'm a sheenie. I'm a yid. I'm a doggone, you know, I'm a sponsor. I'm a doggone schmeckle. I'm a schmeckle. So what do you want from me? But that said, let's reach hands to, you know, across this gulf of misinformation brought to you by the CIA, brought to you by the Trilateral Commission, brought to you by the Bilderberg Group, brought to you by the Skull and Bone, brought to you by the evil that is the pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. Let's reach hands across this gulf. Let's come together with our ideas. Our ideas transcend our race. Our ideas transcend our ethnicity, our social ideals, everything, because everything comes from our ideas. Our human minds are transcendent. They rise above the stars. The human soul in the human being, regardless of what it's encased in, is the most magnificent, the most lovely, the most benevolent thing on earth. But when we let society meddlers come in, they can bring out that aggressive, curious, selfish, covetous, evil, conquesting human being that does live inside of every one of us. The id of us. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you check out my video, Is Trump a Sociopath? And I talk about, he's probably not a sociopath, but we are divided up into the id, the ego, and the superego. Some of us are more id than anything else. So look, that said, I just want to encourage everybody out there to be good to your family. Be good to your friends. Be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, family member, or loved one has done seems to be so big. Because wouldn't life be worser without them? And remember, in a time you think not, your friend, your family member, your loved one, your cause in your life will depart from you. Ha 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 ha! Hey, listen, as you look at the credits, remember, you don't have to like it, but subscribe. I need your help. Share this. Make a comment, especially if you disagree with me. All nice comments are welcome, but diversity of ideas is the most important thing we have in life. And one more last big shout out, Judd Hurst. God bless you, and God bless the Hurst family. On back from the distant mists of the past and well into the future that mankind cannot see. God bless you and all that you love.